lot of people think the big news stories today are the snowstorm that's hitting the Midwest or the looming federal budget cuts. But judging by local news, there's apparently an even bigger story that's sweeping the nation right now. Check it out.
Well, if you filled up your gas tank lately, then you don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are on the rise. I know.
That's kind of scary. Yeah. I really think...
What a coincidence!
Yeah.
Onslow County Sheriff's Department holding up traffic on 526.
Put your hand behind your back.
Sit down.
You don't need me to tell you that it's not just a few bad apples. Florida man arrested for recording himself flipping over sitting deputies. Says here that, however, when Charles Ross decided to run up to a pair of Sarasota deputies sitting on a park bench last November and flip over them, they weren't very impressed, nor did they seem very motivated to arrest him, telling him they would arrest him if he dared to do that one more time. But then they noticed the camera and decided to arrest him for disorderly conduct and resisting arrest, even threatened to delete his footage. Secret Service agent almost shot Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Says a Secret Service agent nearly shot the Iranian president by accident, a new book claims. Says it was an event in 2006 outside the Intercontinental Hotel in New York during the United Nations Assembly. The agent had reportedly been adjusting a shotgun on the side of the armored car that was waiting for President Bush, when the weapon was accidentally fired in the direction of Ahmadinejad. It says here that the memo sent as part of the daily intelligence briefing read, the agent in an apparent accident discharged a shotgun at the Iranian president. But it goes on, says everyone just stopped. It says that an official also quoted in the book, the Iranians looked at us, we looked at the Iranians, the agent began to apologize, and Ahmadinejad just turned his head and got into the car. Then you have Groundhog's false spring prediction brings indictment in Ohio. So waiting for the computer. It says here that a shadow of a different kind is hanging over Punxsutawney Phil. Authorities in still frigid Ohio have issued an indictment against the famed groundhog who predicted an early spring when he didn't see his shadow after emerging from his lair on February 2nd. It says here that as spring arrived Wednesday and temperatures are still hovering in the 30s, and it says here, while it's not the coldest spring on record, it's a good 5 degrees below normal, says meteorologists. New Yorkers now being given $500 rewards if they report gun owners to law enforcement. It says here for over a year now, New Yorkers have been offered $500 cash rewards to snitch on people who own guns. It says the Cuomo Mafia has done a real job on New Yorkers. It says CBS 6 News reported the existence of the tip line on Wednesday. It was previously a well-kept secret that received little promotion from state officials. The number is 1-855-GUNS-NYS. John Kerry commits U.S. to UN arms trade treaty grab. As the world body meets this week to hammer out an agreement to restrict international arms trade, Secretary of State commits us to pushing a treaty that might also restrict the Second Amendment rights. Stated purposes is to keep illicit weapons out of the hands of terrorists, insurgent fighters, and organized crime at the international level. U.S. plans to allow spy agencies to monitor every citizen's finances and reports. Washington is reportedly considering opening all U.S. financial records to national intelligence agencies in order to prevent future crimes, pre-crime. Only the FBI has unlimited access to such databases. Other agencies had to file case-by-case requests. So it goes on here and it says that it's a war on money, war on corruption, on politically exposed persons, anti-money laundering, organized crime, says the UN advisor. It's in the early stages, but it appears to have no judicial obstacles. Then you have U.S. plan calls for more scanning of private web traffic and email. The U.S. government expanding cybersecurity program that scans internet traffic headed into and out of defense contractors. It says to include far more of the country's private civilian-run infrastructure. As a result, more private sector employees than ever, including those at big banks, utilities, and transportation companies, will have their emails and web surfing scanned as a precaution against cyber attacks. CIA's Gus Hunt on big data says we try to collect everything and hang on to it forever. CIA's chief technology officer outlined an agency's endless appetite for data in a speech on Wednesday. He was speaking before tech geeks at a conference. He said that the world is increasingly awash in information from text messages, tweets, and videos, and that the agency wants all of it. Yeah, this is just comes after I just covered this Wednesday. The CIA is committed to a massive $600 million 10-year deal with Amazon for cloud computing services. Military cyber strike teams will soon guard private networks. The Cyber Command aims to deploy by September all 13 cyber warrior teams capable of striking adversary networks to deflect assaults on U.S. private computers, the Pentagon said. NASA chief says Earth defenseless in asteroid strike. This, of course, comes after this. Russia to spend billions on asteroid defense. So the whole thing is about weaponizing space, like I said before, all based off that, quote, recent asteroid. So it's like everything else. Whatever the UK does, US does, vice versa. And whatever Russia does, you're going to see it in the United States. So, because it's all one nice, cozy, happy family system. Events in Russia last month have reignited concern about the threat civilization on Earth faces from asteroids. So if they're doing it, let's do it. DARPA sets out to make computers that can teach themselves. So this is, of course, singularity. It says Pentagon's Blue Sky Research Agency is readying a nearly 4-year project to boost artificial intelligence systems by building machines that can teach themselves while making it easier for ordinary schlubs like us to build them too. The agency said they can build machines that learn and evolve using algorithms, probabilistic programming, to parse through vast amounts of data and select the best of it. After that, the machine learns to repeat the process and do it better. Twitter faces a $50 million lawsuit in France over anti-Semitic tweet data. The Union of French Jewish Students may have won its court case involving anti-Semitic tweets in January. Twitter allegedly did not follow through on court requirements, so the student union, in conjunction with another French Jewish group, decided to take the matter a step further by suing them, Twitter, for $50 million for failing to release data on the authors of the anti-Semitic tweets within a 15-day period that is required by a French court. In October, these tweets were popularized by the French hashtag Un Bof Juif, whatever, which translates to a good Jew. Users tweeted statements using the hashtag that were seen as offensive and derogatory to Jewish people. I'm talking about Bradley Manning, U.S. Army like child torturing ants with a magnifying glass. Full leak translation. Speech Freedom Advocacy Group has released the audio of Bradley Manning's testimony about his motives for leaking secret U.S. government documents. I'm not sure what's really behind this story, but Marine kills 2 at Quantico base, takes his own life, so murder-suicide. It says a Marine shot dead a male and female colleague at a Virginia base, I think it's officers, and then killed himself in the second fatal non-combat incident involving Marines in the U.S. this week. The shooter and his victims were school staff members and active-duty Marines. It forced a 3.5-hour lockdown. Recently, 7 Marines were killed in a Nevada training exercise. This is when a mortar round unexpectedly exploded during the live-fire training exercise. Military suicides are up despite 900 prevention programs. The Defense Department runs 900 suicide prevention programs, yet the number of military suicides has more than doubled since 2001. Researchers tied Gulf War illness to brain damage. They said they found the physical proof that Gulf War illness is caused by damage to the brain, and proof may ultimately help civilians who suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome. They said the findings are huge because an fMRI allows doctors to diagnose a person with Gulf War illness quickly. Also, it shows that Gulf War illness is not psychological. In Puerto Rico, U.S. Army drills did not cause illnesses, they say. They say it found no proof that decades of military operations on Puerto Rican island of Vieques has caused higher levels of illnesses among the population. The report said increased mortality rates could be partially due to a lack of access to medical care. The U.S. Navy used the island, or the land, between 1941 and 2003 to practice firing rockets, missiles, and bombs. Many of the island's 10,000 residents claimed the drills had caused serious damage to human health and to the environment. They also found the public water supply was safe and that the air was not contaminated. In 1999, the forces accidentally fired 263 rounds of ammunition tipped with depleted uranium, violating U.S. law. After years of angry protests, the U.S. eventually shut down its military operations and the naval base was turned into a wildlife refuge. Munitions cleanup is ongoing and is expected to take at least another 20 years. DHS questioned over a decision to let Saudi passengers skip normal passport controls. So, well, most of you are harassed at by the TSA at the airports. Department of Homeland Security program intended to give trusted traveler status to low-risk airline passengers soon will be extended to Saudi travelers, opening the program to criticism for accommodating the country that produced 15 of the 19 hijackers behind September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. A man impersonating pilot reached plane's cockpit at the Philadelphia airport. The police have arrested a French national after he allegedly posed as an airline pilot and gained access to the cockpit of a U.S. Airways flight on Wednesday. White supremacist suspected of killing Colorado official brain dead after a Texas shootout. White supremacist ex-convict suspected of killing Colorado's top prison official is brain dead and on life support after being shot in the head during a rampage in Texas that left one officer seriously injured, according to CBS News. His name's Evan Spencer Ebel, 28 years old. And boys kill baby in stroller while robbing mom, says the cops. So the police are looking in Georgia for 2 boys, one about 10 years old and the other 15 years old, accused of shooting a baby to death in a stroller during a robbery attempt. They approached the mother in broad daylight, demanded money. When she said she didn't have any, the older boy pulled a gun. So it says here, I put my arms over my baby and he shoves me and then he shot my baby right in the head, who suffered a bullet wound to her leg. They are offering a $10,000 reward. This is GGN and I'm Darko. Thank you.